For this episode, I thought it would be best to go on a walk, to get some fresh air, step back from all the craziness, plan this whole thing out, and then life happened. The fact is that our lives are crazy. If you think about it, we're in the midst of a war. Now, not in the traditional sense, where clear lines are drawn with armed conflict between clearly defined groups with clearly defined locations and allegiances. It's different from any other time. What we are fighting or facing is a war of thoughts. It's a psychological level. It's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You could be in it right now. You can join in and leave at any other point in time via social media. Yeah, the good news is that our battles, for the most part, are not physical. But now, more than any other time, we are more depressed, we're more needy, lack compassion, and are more narcissistic than any other recent generation. First off, why is this? You could say the good news is that we lack the stomach for war and violence. But this is a different kind of violence. The bad news is that we find it way too easy to express our unfiltered emotions and thoughts. It's almost as if we simply spit them out without remorse, without forethought about the cost of how a shotgun blast of emotion will affect our targets, not to mention the collateral damage. We're disregarding any responsibility because it doesn't occur to us, I suppose, in our narcissistic nature. In other words, we lack control. Why not? If I get a nice dopamine high out of it, I should do it, right? Has it always been this way? With the complexities of the world and the system that keep it going, we get it. We're all nostalgic about the times when things were simpler. Even, where it was almost as if it was the red team versus the blue team. This is why I suppose sports is so appealing, but were the good old days really better? For movies, we had the Goonies, Lucas Star Wars, the original Indiana Jones, Christopher Reeve's Superman. We had it all, but did we? Or is this simply the rose-colored glasses people talk about? That back in my day, everything was better. But was it really a better time? Were we better off? And here's where we get into the question. While we had lots of freedom, did we even remotely understand it? Today you can say we have the opposite problem. Look at our superheroes like Superman today. We're more concerned about his gender than his struggle to control his great power for the betterment of society and what that looked like. Wonder Woman is now all about striking fear into those that are afraid of, the latest phobia. Which makes no sense, because instead of celebrating her beautiful freedom and strength, it's as if we're shopping for the latest sale at Wally World. Look at any cultural hero on Earth, and at their roots, you will see the same elements of overcoming the impossible at impossible odds. The hero's gender didn't even matter. Bottom line, they would all carry with them the idea of humanity overcoming and performing legendary deeds at the cost of sacrificing themselves to become victorious, by transitioning their actions into something more than human. So why the pressure to follow the latest fad? Why the rewrites? Where's this generation's original ideas? Why aren't we allowed to express our questions of familiar legacy, personal identity, societal expectations? Or is this just a narcissistic pull to simply bow down to a social media fame? And is that too much? When The Dark Knight came out in 2008, there's a scene in there where the Joker he's burning his half of the cash. And this resonated with us some weird way. The audience said at the time, it struck us with something, I don't know, like we couldn't put our finger on it, but something familiar. And don't get me wrong, we were appalled by this. Because, I mean, who wouldn't want that much money, and why would you burn it? But at the same time, the money burning, it felt familiar to our world. It was almost sort of an idea that something was about to happen in our world. And in many ways, this was the beginning of our new normal, when all of our heroes are being turned into ash. We're watching the big studios throw our beloved heroes to the side in a bid to appease to more modern audiences, new audiences. We could no longer recognize them because it was all at the expense of the foundation of what made these established characters heroes in the first place. From ancient times to cave paintings, heroic characters have all had similar traits. They would take on adventures that go well beyond their capacity. They usually first must set out on their journey, reluctantly I might add, to right wrongs and to defeat evil. They set boundaries and enforce them for generations. This is the code that our civilization, or certainly Western civilization, is based upon, and in many other cultures for that matter. These epic tales span from Gilgamesh, Perseus and Medusa, the Clash of the Titans, my favorite example being from the 80s, and many fairy tales or folklores all have a moral thread, a moral code, translated through the generations. There's a hero facing their fears, taking on the dragon regardless of the odds, and triumphing over the impossibility of it, and the impossibility of their journey. Whether you look back thousands of years or to our own modern times, we are still doing the same thing. Admiring our heroes. They have tests to overcome. While the heroes' names may have ultimately changed, the principles and the ideals are still there. The classic heroes, gods, monsters, they're all still here. Instead of telling our stories over a campfire, we are sharing them on the big screen or in comics or in other forms. We have this inner desire for stories that are examples of larger than life heroes and villains. This shared longing to reach beyond our own meaningless existence is to aspire for more than currently where we currently are, beyond this emptiness to actually into a purpose-filled life. So what are stories? An expression of hope that we are able to reach beyond our own potential, and be made into something far greater than ourselves. Stories teach us to reach higher, try harder, and to never give up. Heroes are important because they embody our potential to pick ourselves up, to move to a higher level beyond our limited means. It is these principles that push us to reach for the stars. This is why the ideas of Aquarius are important, to move from the impossible to I am possible. I suppose this is why our imaginations are so important, in order to have the ability to reach beyond ourselves, to tap into this limitless potential. Celebrating our heroes allows us to dream beyond our mundane and ordinary. And now, looking at our current entertainment with its cynical nature, the message is mean-spirited, seeking to undermine and subvert the heroes of the past and those who we would look up to. They are instead berated, marginalized, avoided altogether. It's trendy, right, to belittle and criticize our heroes, as if they're relics of a time that's no longer relevant to our modernity. Turning these past self-sacrificing heroes into nothing more than just symbols of our oppression, because they no longer reflect our current trending narcissism. But yet we make these statements without truly understanding who they are and where they took a stand to commit to be selfless for the betterment of all. That the problem that they were facing were well beyond their own shortcomings, but that affected everyone around them, and that they simply had the courage to confront it when no one else would. And you know, all of this brings to question, why are we making feeble heroes in today's modern pulp culture? Why are we forcing our own heroes, or focusing on our own heroes' failures, shortcomings, their lack of abilities, versus seeing their untapped potential to overcome darkness and to shine the brighter? Out of really any other time in history, we're asking, why is this happening? For what reason? One of my favorite concepts of Obi-Wan Kenobi is that he provided Luke with the seeds of opportunity to seek after his own destiny, and to tap into his potential, his natural potential, and reach beyond that and into his own human spirit. In a time that seeks to tear down our past heroes, to marginalize, to subvert their own potential, it's almost as if we are hearing the Emperor say, "Take up your destiny by my side." As if to say, embrace the darkness, because this light is too impossible, too difficult, and certainly beyond your ability or my ability to embrace the light. Our modernity, well, it's not bringing us hope. Our anti-values align more with the Emperor Palpatine, whose mission is to embody pointlessness or purposeless lives. It's more, in many ways, honestly, he's right. It's much easier to embrace the darkness, to accept weakness, to be petty, envious, and to ultimately disregard hope altogether. Because it's more important to be to be more subversive, to reveal the dark intentions through the veil of fake compassion and fairness, no matter how ridiculous, harmful, or pathetic we are. This argument is constantly pressuring us into embracing these anti-values, because once the heart has accepted these as our values, all is lost, and you will no longer have the desire to hope and to strive for anything for that matter. So how do we beat this algorithm of purposelessness? What knowledge or wisdom, advice do you have for our fellow heroes? For each of us, for each of you watching this video, and certainly countless other videos that are discussing these topics in varying different degrees or varying different approaches, you are in fact the hero in your own story. While all of us are battle-hardened in one degree or another, we are all experiencing the inevitability that is ultimately our destiny. True, none of us asked for such lost times. However, we have or always have a choice to carry out the will of good, like Aragorn in Lord of the Rings. And Aragorn says, "I swore to protect you." Frodo responds, "Can you protect me from yourself? Would you destroy it?" The ring whispers, "Aragorn Elisar." And of course, the coolest part, Aragorn closes Frodo's fist around the ring and says, "I would have gone with you to the very heart and to the very fires of Mordor." Another great quote from Chadwick Boseman, and he says, sometimes you need to get knocked down before you can really figure out what your fight is and how you need to fight it. Sometimes you need to feel the pain and sting of defeat to achieve the real passion and purpose that God has predestined inside of you. And let us also remember what made the impossible possible. And the ancient tales still honored today is that help will come. We do not know in what form or from whom, but we trust that good will overcome evil, because we know that darkness will always run from light, that there will be a supernatural aid, and that this tiny measure of encouragement turns ultimately into confidence. This is when legends are born. Look to your supernatural aid. Find your key element in your hero's journey that will prepare and empower you for challenges to come, because none of us asked for this, and that's okay. That's our calling, and ultimately, what's our calling in the end? To fight for stories that matter. Being called upon for that mission, even though we didn't ask for it or wanted it for that matter, this is a calling of our time. And we'll end here with this. Frodo says, "I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened." Gandalf responds, "So do all who live to see such times. But that is not. There's other forces at work than in this world, Frodo. Besides the will of evil, Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you were also meant to have it." And that is an encouraging thought.
Holding my head again, making my way through crowded thoughts. Sometimes it's hard to get out of it. Broke my heart in the dark. I was just trying to feel something, falling asleep to the sound of it. Always used to let you clean up the messes. Down on my knees, thought I couldn't stand up on my own. Turns out sometimes you're stronger alone. Bringing out the fight, yeah, bring on all the lightning. 'Cause I'm looking for a hero, look inside the mirror. I found one, oh. Carry the hurt when it gets too hard. Pick it up, dust it off. When I fall down 11, I get up 12. Don't need nobody else. Yeah, I can save myself. Got burned, but I learned. Our scars make us who we are. Now I'm 10 feet tall over my demons. Remind me no one's got me like myself. Yeah, I love me without any help. I'm the best thing to believe in. So I'm bringing out the fight, yeah, bring on all the lightning. 'Cause I'm looking for a hero, look inside the mirror. I found one, oh. Carry the hurt when it gets too hard. Pick it up, dust it off. When I fall down 11, I get up 12. Don't need nobody else. Yeah, I can save myself. Oh, 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 oh. I could crumble into pieces, but I got a million reasons why I won't. 'Cause this heavy is a season, and the sun is always right behind the storm.